The energy drink company Celsius Holdings has been one of the best performing stocks in the entire stock market. Back in 2013, its shares were trading for just 7 cents apiece. Today, its share price is $33. In other words, if you invested $1,000 in the company back in 2013, that investment would be worth $470,000 today. And it's not just Celsius that's done well. The share price of Monster Energy has also skyrocketed over the past decade, creating tens of billions of dollars of value for shareholders. Clearly, the popularity of energy drinks has exploded over the past decade. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into why energy drinks are so addictive, and how they have turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. A big reason we started the Wall Street Millennial YouTube channel is our belief that financial information should be democratized so individuals can have all the information they need to make informed decisions. That's why we're so excited to partner with today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha, which shares this same mission. I've personally been using Seeking Alpha for a long time before they reached out to sponsor us. Seeking Alpha is an online investing research platform where thousands of independent contributors publish in-depth fundamental research about individual stocks. Because they have so many contributors, the coverage is extremely broad, with articles covering small-cap stocks that receive little to no coverage anywhere else. For any contributor, you can look back at their track record and see how their buy and sell recommendations have played out over time. In addition to the wealth of fundamental research, for the past 13 years, Seeking Alpha has maintained a quantitative scoring system. A portfolio of the stocks rated as strong buy outperformed the S&P 500 in 12 out of the past 13 years. All of this and more is available with the Seeking Alpha Premium subscription. We've partnered with Seeking Alpha to make your decision risk-free with a 7-day free trial for new subscribers. And if you sign up before October 1st, you can lock in a discounted rate and get $25 off your first year. Just click the link in the description below. And now back to the video. The main reason anyone drinks energy drinks is their high caffeine content. While caffeine is legal and socially acceptable almost everywhere in the world, it is technically a psychoactive drug. According to the FDA, approximately 80% of adults in the world regularly consume caffeine. Caffeine has become so popular due to a variety of real and perceived benefits, mostly related to cognitive performance. Caffeine has long been associated with intellectual vitality. Going all the way back to the Enlightenment era in 17th century Europe, scientists and intellectuals would congregate at coffee houses to exchange ideas. The likes of Isaac Newton, Voltaire, and Benjamin Franklin were all known to be heavy coffee drinkers. Caffeine is a stimulant that can help you think more sharply and increase your intellectual capabilities, at least in the short term. More recently, there have been scientific studies confirming the benefits that caffeine can have on cognitive performance. In 1994, the US military commissioned a study on the effects of caffeine on sleep-deprived humans. During prolonged military operations, soldiers often face unfavorable sleeping conditions, leading to sleep deprivation. The military wanted to know if caffeine could be a solution. An experiment was conducted where subjects were told not to sleep for 64 hours. Then, some of the subjects were given a placebo while others were given caffeine. They were then asked to perform various computerized tests. The caffeinated group demonstrated far superior short-term memory, reaction times, and logical reasoning abilities compared to the placebo group. Subjects in the caffeine group reported feeling greater energy levels and confidence. The effects of large doses of caffeine can last for 10 to 12 hours. Whether you work or study for long hours, caffeine can help you stay focused for longer. This can obviously be very useful for a lot of people. Unfortunately, in the field of biology, there are no free lunches. Caffeine doesn't actually give your body any more energy. There's a chemical called adenosine, which naturally builds up in your body throughout the day. When your brain detects high levels of adenosine, it knows that you've been awake for a long time and responds by feeling tired. The caffeine molecule is shaped similarly to adenosine. Because of this, caffeine can enter your brain's adenosine receptors, thereby blocking the real adenosine and preventing you from becoming tired. It's effectively tricking your brain into thinking you're not tired, when your body actually does need sleep. As we discussed earlier, this can have favorable effects on cognitive function in the short term, but it can also lead to negative consequences in the long term. When you drink caffeine, your brain doesn't receive as much adenosine as it expects. It responds by growing more adenosine receptors. If you stop consuming caffeine, the heightened number of adenosine receptors will make you feel tired faster than you otherwise would. By the time you wake in the morning, the caffeine you drank the previous day has already left your system. You feel tired and groggy. The only way to feel more awake is to drink caffeine. Thus, the cycle of addiction continues. Given its addictive nature, it's easy to see how caffeine is such a big industry. The majority of people in the world are addicted to it. Caffeine is naturally occurring in coffee beans and many species of tea leaves. Historically, this is how most people have consumed caffeine. But what about energy drinks? Where do they fit into the picture? By definition, energy drinks have large amounts of caffeine. If they didn't, they wouldn't be considered energy drinks. But this is only one aspect contributing to their popularity. The three most popular energy drinks in the US are Red Bull, Monster Energy, and Celsius. Red Bull has the least amount of caffeine at 80 milligrams per can. Monster Energy has 160 milligrams, and Celsius has the most caffeine at 200 milligrams per can. Part of the difference can be explained by different can sizes. A standard Monster Energy can is twice the size of a standard Red Bull can, so they actually have the same caffeine concentration of 10 milligrams per fluid ounce. Celsius cans are 12 fluid ounces, so they have the highest caffeine concentration of almost 17 milligrams per fluid ounce. For comparison, Coca-Cola has a caffeine concentration of approximately 3 milligrams per fluid ounce. But if you're looking for the maximum amount of caffeine, energy drinks aren't your best option. You're probably better off going to Starbucks. Different brews of coffee at Starbucks have different caffeine concentrations. Let's look at their Veranda blend, which is one of their most popular. Starbucks offers its drinks in 4 sizes: short, tall, grande, and venti. These have 180, 270, 360, and 475 milligrams of caffeine respectively. Even the smallest Starbucks coffee has more caffeine than a can of Red Bull or Monster. The Starbucks Veranda blend has a caffeine density of 22.5 milligrams per fluid ounce, which is significantly greater than Red Bull, Monster, or Celsius. In terms of caffeine content, energy drinks don't provide anything that didn't already exist before. The main innovation they brought to the table was their marketing campaigns. The first modern energy drink to be launched in the US was Jolt Cola in 1985. A can of Jolt Cola had 72 milligrams of caffeine, which was about twice as much as Coke or Pepsi. Their advertising slogan was "all the sugar with twice the caffeine." Targeting rebellious young adults and teenagers, Jolt positioned itself as a counter to the growing health-conscious movement. It offered a bold choice for those concerned with taste and energy without regard to health consequences. Jolt Cola had some brief success in the 1980s and 90s. Its parent company went bankrupt in 2009. Jolt Cola's bankruptcy was not an indictment of the energy drink industry. Quite the opposite. Jolt failed because its initial success invited numerous competitors to enter the market, and they ultimately couldn't keep up. The single most popular energy drink in the world today is Red Bull. In 2023, Red Bull sold 12.1 billion cans globally and generated the equivalent of $11.8 billion of revenue. Red Bull was inspired by a non-carbonated beverage from Thailand called Krating Dang, which contained caffeine, taurine, and large amounts of sugar. In the 1980s, an Austrian businessman discovered this drink on a trip to Thailand and realized it could also do well in Western markets. To appeal to more Western palates, they reduced the sugar content and added carbonization. Red Bull didn't launch in the United States until the 1990s, but when it did, it quickly became a huge success. The high sugar content made Red Bull more attractive to a younger demographic compared to coffee. In the beginning, Red Bull targeted college students, distributing free cases of the drink and sponsoring parties on or near college campuses. Over the years, Red Bull has also invested hundreds of millions of dollars sponsoring extreme sports and athletes. Some of the extreme stunts performed by Red Bull athletes garner hundreds of millions of views on social media. The goal of these marketing campaigns is for consumers to associate Red Bull with impressive accomplishments. Their famous "Red Bull gives you wings" slogan also fits with this image. They target the go-getter youths who are looking for a combination of adventure and accomplishment. If you need to cram for an exam tomorrow, your best option to stay up all night is probably coffee, which has more caffeine than Red Bull. But a young, impressionable college student may go for the Red Bull instead, as they subconsciously associate the brand with productivity and performance. The second most popular energy drink in the world is Monster Energy, which generated over $7 billion of revenue in 2023. Similarly to Red Bull, Monster Energy sponsors extreme sports. But unlike Red Bull, Monster focuses on blue-collar, counterculture youth who embrace a rougher, rebellious, and more aggressive lifestyle. This can even be seen in their iconic logo of 3 radioactive green claw marks. Celsius, the third largest energy drink in the United States, is perhaps the most interesting. Their brand positioning is very different from Red Bull or Monster. If you remember, the original energy drink, Jolt Cola, focused on being unapologetically unhealthy. This had a certain appeal among rebellious youths, but failed to become mainstream. First released in the 2000s, Celsius took the opposite approach, marketing itself as a healthy drink for athletes and health-conscious people in general. In their early commercials, they even called themselves a healthy alternative to energy drinks. From the beginning, Celsius used artificial sweeteners instead of sugar, so the drink had 0 calories. It also had a large dose of caffeine. Caffeine increases your heart rate and metabolism, which can make your body burn more calories. They marketed it as a weight loss drink. Scientific studies show that caffeine indeed increases your metabolism, but the effect on weight loss is probably marginal. There are a lot of overweight people who drink coffee every day. Celsius went public in 2007 through a reverse merger. They merged with an existing NASDAQ-listed penny stock company. The original marketing campaign was largely a flop, and Celsius generated minimal sales. Very few consumers took their weight loss claims seriously. By 2013, their share price was trading at just 7 cents, and the company looked like it was headed towards bankruptcy. In the mid-2010s, they completely overhauled their marketing strategy to focus less on facts and more on appearances. They redesigned their cans to have a much cleaner, more modern aesthetic. They also got rid of the checklist of purported health benefits, which made their original cans look more like medicine bottles than energy drinks. They replaced it with their new Live Fit motto, which is easy to remember and portrays the drink as being intended for health-conscious consumers. All of their flavors are based on fruit. For example, strawberry guava, Fuji apple pear, wild berry, etc. The drinks don't actually contain any fruit juice. They contain combinations of natural and artificial flavors, which closely resemble the taste of fruit. This is a sharp contrast from the more chemical-like artificial taste of Red Bull and Monster. Is Celsius actually any healthier than Red Bull or Monster? If you drink the sugar-free versions, probably not. But their modern can design and natural-tasting flavors have successfully created this perception. This new brand strategy has been a huge success. In 2012, Celsius generated just $8 million of revenue. By 2023, this had exploded to $1.3 billion. The combined revenue of Red Bull, Monster, and Celsius has roughly tripled over the past decade, from $6.5 billion to over $20 billion. The massive growth of energy drinks isn't really the result of any great product innovation. Its active ingredient, caffeine, is nothing new, and as we explained earlier, many brews of coffee actually have more caffeine than most energy drinks. Sugary drinks and artificial sweeteners also long predate the rise of energy drinks. The success of energy drinks can be attributed almost entirely to marketing and how these brands make us feel. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about energy drinks? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.